It's Friday morning. That's what I was gonna say.
Are you like wondering how you got started on Friday morning or?
That's not really trouble. I mean, I might have 7 people showing up instead of 10.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you doing?
Yeah. End of the week.
I'm heading to the airport.
And I will suggest
Wish I could say that.
to appreciate this whole thing.
All right, you have everything you
I'm
need.
happy to say it.
I think so.
It's
I would hope by
so,
Friday we have
and
it.
then he didn't get his way. And he dumped some stuff on.
Always
And now
the
we're
rule.
still dealing with it and arguing about it.
All right.
And it's a waste of everybody's fucking time.
I just hope Mark hasn't implemented anything controversial.
And if you want
I don't think he has.
people that know stuff and control it, I don't see any distinction between suffix and base. I don't know. But you saw in the CWP is the starting suffix. And then Jason. I can't be sad about it.
There's no sadness for today.
I will be later.
They'll keep coming out.
They're like solid.
Yeah.
That's why to see if other people are gonna say, hey, nobody even knows what's what. Sorry, I was in that. Modern he kind of offered raised it under some people that raised I think he's trying to be polite to you. Well, there's some things that we try to get on the entire argument started off with, oh my God, we'll have to avoid losing power. Or we couldn't possibly continue. And then, which, that's fine, but then just later on, when you're literally like, later on, I might just be at this point, but it's the last, I think,
Yeah.
you don't have to choose AC plus whatever. I mean, it is what it is, but VP plus whatever is sort of reused. It's sort of like,
I totally agree. It's weird.
well,
It's there like for symmetry completeness.
yeah, which you can kind of, I can follow the rebel, not even, I can follow the argument to like VP plus John, or even VP plus,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Can't do options.
Right. I can, that's right, of course.
I had a very
But I-
frank, honest conversation with my listening days here, like, plus ever time
like all hell breaking to the BCD on most students, which is not also not that it's not easy. It's in the same way that symmetry is easy because it's we have to do it. We have to do it.
There is a difference between cryptographic commitment and decisions complete abilities, right? But it's a small difference, and which use cases won't be solved by just using those data.
I mean, you're the one making up the cryptographic method. I guess I don't even understand.
It's for if you take the whole, you know how like sometimes this line pointing or target layers. If you start doing that with a whole bunch of software, then and I'm but I mean look, this is what you have to do to make a thing.
Well, I'm with it, and I feel that standards should try to solve architectural build and maybe it doesn't become if it does, then you shouldn't try to you should focus on the interface and what you're seeing, not the
Yeah, and I think the challenge here is if it's reduced that specification is the one which is saying what we're saying.
So I
They don't think about the people like that. They think this is data model.
Yep.
And then if you can't secure it,
Okay, folks. I suppose we can start with a mandatory waiting period for someone to volunteer to scribe. We're still missing our chief document editor, so we might want to wait a few minutes before starting, but we need a scribe. There's been a meeting or two in the past where someone volunteered to scribe, and I forgot who it was. So we'd better try to get it right this time. Hmm? Yeah. Just waiting for the raised hand. We're having a moment of silence to decide who gets to do the scribing.
I'll do it. Peer pressure.
Alexei, was that Alexei's voice?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Alexei has volunteered to be scribe, and now it's recorded in the recording, so I will remember. Okay. And we can go back to our regularly scheduled introduction slides. This session is being recorded. Let me see. That's a puzzle. How do we do that? That's a red light.
It's flashing.
That's a lovely thing about being in a room full of computer geeks. Always someone who insists on pressing the on button. Yeah. But the next slide is nothing you haven't seen before, unless you have just decided to buy a one-day pass so you could be at MEDIAMAN. Usually, if you follow the rules, you're okay. If you don't know what the rules are, you're in trouble. and be nice. Use the on-site tool to get in line, and don't clog up the audio, especially the audio. We've had a couple of cases during the week when people left their audio on, which caused echo, so that other speakers got garbled, but the only person who didn't get garbled was the one who was causing the echo. That's just an irritating fact of what happens with echo. The perpetrator doesn't notice. Anyway, again, does meet echo, technical assistance, all that. But now we have an agenda. So we've done the note well, we've done the scribe. Thank you, Alexei. Agenda bash. Does anyone wish to bash the agenda? Hearing none, we'll go on with this agenda as far as possible. Status of working group documents. We published 2 of the documents on our charter, haptics on top level. We decided to integrate a lot of the other stuff into 6838 bis. So we only have 1 active draft. We noticed, or someone noticed on the mail list, that we actually have an item on our charter about a security checklist for a security checklist for the expert, but that's and the suggestion was that, okay, Ayana's written a nice one that's on the registration page, so we can just approve that. But that's the other leftover item, I think. There's also something about looking hard at what the registry looks like. Okay. Any comments on the status of working group documents? Then we have, we would very much like to leave the mic to Mark, but I haven't seen Mark today.
He didn't mean to go. He was in the breakfast group having breakfast. So.
Ooh. So he's awake at least. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. But I know that what Mark should have been doing at least was to show off the list of issues and drive from that, so we can stare at that for a while. I did do a quick run through and file a few more issues, but I don't see them as very blocking. Quick check. Let me see. I should check how many people we actually have online. We have 14 people signed in. Oh, 16.
Mark texts me on my way.
great. We have 16 people on registered. If you haven't registered with the tool, do so, please. Murray grabs for his phone. That's nice. So we have some issues that are marked as ready to close, which means that in Mark's opinion, and which I concur, we don't need to make any change based on those issues. And for the ones with the nasty red block thing, it's that I don't think we should go to work group last call until we have this settled one way or the other. And we have a few nits. Now, of the people present in the room, which are a majority of the people signed in, who has read a recent version of the draft? Four people? Yeah. So, not too bad. So, we have a tradition in this working group of making the ISG unhappy by sending them documents that don't have enough review. I mean, it's perfectly appropriate and quite necessary that people read this document and comment on all the little nits that the ISG will notice when they read it. So I did some commenting, as you can see here. But the red ones are the important ones. Okay, I think the color of the projector is off. It's brown on the. It's this color. I mean, the text should be obvious. So we're waiting for Mark to come running to lead this part of the agenda. While we're waiting, Magnus asked about using bucket format parameters from RFC 6381. What on earth were you thinking? I couldn't tell.
Okay, let me refresh my mind.
Yeah.
Magnus Westlund. So there's this bucket format RFC, which basically just tells that there's this sub-parameter which tells you what's actually in the file. So this is like audio, video, media containers, things like that, that contains one or more undertypes, basically, other encodings, etc. So they're quite useful to understand what you actually are getting, and if you can handle it and decode it, etc. So the question was more like, should there be a reference to, in regards to parameters, if you have this type, please consider to ensure that you have the right things registered there. So.
Now here's Mark. Good morning.
My apologies. Problem between computer and, well, user and calendar, I guess.
Oh, yeah. So we are currently at the agenda point that says Mark goes through open issues. So you're straight into the fire. So
Yeah.
Fine.
Just tell me what issue to display.
Yeah, that should be, maybe we can conclude maybe on 19. I guess what Alex do thumbs
Oh, you,
19. So
were you hoping to conclude this one before I arrived?
No, we-
Harald asked me what I was thinking when I wrote the issue, so it's I had to clarify what I meant, that it's
so it's,
based on that the parameter for the media type, this bucket parameter contains the actual subtypes for like which audio codecs, video codecs, etc. is in the bucket. At least the information reference that if you're registering something of this type, use this parameter to tell that whatever that you have it. So I think in some type of informational reference to say, okay, there's exists this thing. If you have this type, go look it up and consider using it. Yeah.
So if this is the issue that I think we're talking about,
No,
is this the issue I'm thinking about?
no, probably not. So this is bucket types. So there's a parameter defined in this RFC, which I 6381, which defines a parameter that says, oh, this contains H.264, H.265, and maybe AAC audio.
Okay, and this would go in the existing metadata, in that it's just guidance for how to populate the metadata.
Yeah.
That's
So
our
and I mean, it might not be people registering media type of this type might not be aware that this exists. So I think an informational reference saying, hey, if you have something that contains several different subtypes or something, consider this. So I think some type of informational reference there would be good.
so that could go in the advice on parameter sections.
Mm.
So that's ready for PR or something like that. Okay, over to you.
back to the issues list.
Here it comes.
Okay. Perhaps we should start from the bottom, because I'm not as familiar with the top ones. Oh, there's a lot of new ones. Okay.
Let's see.
What have you been doing, Harold?
I'm sorting on created. We're trying to sorting on created.
The chair is supposed to help us close issues.
So,
Okay.
yeah. Now you should recognize them.
Okay. So perhaps number 7.
Yep.
There we go. So this is about the grandfather is now in an appendix. And I think if you scroll down, oh, the lag is unfortunate.
It's a long lag.
It is. Where are those packets going? I think we got to a place where we're ready to close this one. I think this was Rahul, and he had some concerns or some use cases for the grandfathering text, which it wasn't really the purpose of that text, if I'm remembering correctly. But I think this is ready to close. Yeah, it's hard because the lag to, yeah.
So I think what you changed in the document is now for grandfathering, you're recommending community registration type thing as preferred method.
For some of it, yeah. I don't know if it's worth getting the grandfathering text in front of us now in the document.
My impression when I looking at the div that kind of you de-emphasized or even removed the ISG approval option. I initially thought, oh, this is a change, but then it kind of makes sense because grandfathering should be for community review and ISG probably wouldn't have a say. Well, or at least wouldn't have more information than the community anyway. So Yeah, just I think wanted to emphasize this. Seems sensible.
Right. If we get the current, that's quite the lag. There it is, Appendix B now. It's not showing up on the screen at all, though. Is that?
Sorry, what did you say?
It should it show up on the screen?
No, I have to go through MEDIAMAN and stop screen share and then start screen share and
You're only trying a single tap?
yeah. So
Okay.
this is a text for the
Currently.
grandfather media types.
Some media types registered prior to 1996 with unfaceted subtype names would, if registered under the guidelines in this document, be given a faceted name and placed into either the vendor or personal trees. Re-registration of those types to reflect the appropriate trees is encouraged but not required. Ownership and change control principles outlined in this document apply to those types if they have been registered in those trees. So that's a very specific thing about truly grandfathered stuff. There may also be cases where a media type with an unfaceted subtype name has been widely deployed without being registered. In these cases, the community format registration process ought to be considered. So that's, this extra text, my impression was that this was put in kind of because the grandfathering section was, the most relevant, but this isn't really grandfathering so much as it is, recognizing that well, it's a different form of grandfathering, I guess. Recognizing that things get widely deployed even though they're not registered, and we need to do something about that. And that's kind of what the community process is actually designed to address.
So are we ready to close? Thank you.
It's hard to verify right now because the document's been removed from the NIST website due to DEI initiatives.
Sure. Yeah.
But let me preface with this that I am sort of middle ground on many of the inclusivity terms and so forth. But I will note that grandfathering is a term that carries some legitimately deeply problematic connotations of repression in United States history, and that's actually one that we might want to think about.
If you can come up with an alternate term, I'm all ears, and we'll have a think about it. Yeah.
I don't actually know. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pete.
I'm sure we can find some appropriate word.
Probably.
Thank you for raising that. That's
I hate to
no,
on
that's
that one,
worth
but
time.
that one's
Sure
pretty bad.
So can we raise an issue for that just to make sure we don't lose that? Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Have a think. Yeah, I'm sure we can come up with something.
So do we go back to the
issues list?
Should we close this issue?
Yep. Yeah, that's a separate issue.
No. Oh, the grandfathering. Yep. Is it okay? No change needed. Close with comments. Okay, back to the lists. Share this tab instead. I have a button for that.
Oh, that was easier.
Yeah.
Okay, so closed. Next.
Let me see.
Might want to hit back.
I hate that.
Yeah.
It forgets my.
You have to hit back. Yeah.
Let me see.
Okay, so number 10, what's the correct appeals procedure for DE decisions? Click on that, and we can remind ourselves where we're at with that. This was an issue from Murray on the list. Scroll up, and I think I quoted the text from the current text from the spec.
Yeah, that's a spec from that's 2026 spec.
Yeah. So Section 5.3 in 6838 creates an appeal process just by referencing 654 in 2026 and saying that the appeals go to the ISG. And Murray's reading was the appeal goes to the ISG. There's no escalation available past that. The appeal must provide adequate detail, must be filed within 2 months of the decision. ISG has discretion to process the appeal however it wants. The ISG has to complete its review and deliver its decision within a reasonable amount of time. And then he notes that 654 is subordinate to 6.5, which says that it and its subsections apply decisions that are made part of the standards process using consensus development. And decisions of a DE do not meet that definition. It doesn't look like it was meant to be referenced or incorporated in that way. So I think we had a discussion of this before somewhere. And we decided that it's okay that 654 was intended or written for another purpose. It's as long as we deliberately call it out for this purpose. And I think that, and I guess probably make sure the ISG is okay with it, but the fact that it's been this way for this long is a pretty good indicator of that. And I guess, we could incorporate some of those things in that bullet list into the spec, but then you're duplicating the specification, and that's not such a great thing.
Yeah, I think I mentioned in Bangkok, I don't see any reason why the media types DE appeal should be any different than any other DE appeal. So I think this should be tossed over to IANABIS and not handled in this document. And
So-
IANABIS should figure out how to handle DE appeals, but the media type shouldn't be special.
So that puts us in an awkward dependency situation then.
So I guess maybe leave text as it is, and then IANABIS can update it when they get around to it.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's, it's a little unfortunate that we're not doing this just after IANABIS, but oh well. Yeah, the nice part of it is we can identify first issues for them to consider. So.
So I think we have a proposed decision that we leave text as is and
Close with no action, I think.
Hi, IANABIS chair. Do we want to send this over to us to deal with? Is that what I'm hearing?
Why don't you send it over to you?
That would be weird. Another dependency problem. Yeah, okay.
you should always use the mic.
Alexei, so my vague recollection of how this was supposed to be dealt with is that the first level is actually apps AD at the time, or art ADs before the full ISG. That's not quite what's in the document. But I'm just saying, is this something that we want to tweak, or you just want to send it to full, just keep using full ISG?
Given that it's not caused significant problems in the last 10 years, and that IANABIS is going to look at this fresh, my inclination is probably to leave it as it is, because if one of the things the ISG can do is go to an area director and say, okay, can you handle this for now?
I mean, we didn't really have proper appeals. I think what happened in the past is a lot of time designated expert thought, okay, this is above my pay grade. I will ask RTD.
But that's not an appeal.
No, it's an informal kind of alternative, which is, in this area. So yeah, it's not a formal appeal of decision.
Right. But this issue is about the appeal.
Yeah. So I'm saying that this is close with no action. Close with comment. And back to the issues list. See if I preserve the sorting now. Acknowledgements, I think that's editorial.
Yep. I think, Pete, we just did a PR to fix that, right? 13, yeah. Okay. Can we close that, or do we need to keep it open to make sure that... Well, we need to acknowledge the people who participate in this process as well.
The PR is closed. So.
Okay. 13. 15. Keeping it open.
Keep it open.
Keeping it open because we need to acknowledge the participants in this process as well. So now's your opportunity, folks. Get to the mics.
And next time someone files a pull request with the title of update the document, I will remember to reject it.
No, Pete's a new participant as far as these tools are going. We want to encourage his participation.
Well,
Don't shame the new people.
I will suggest an edit to the title. That's a more proper procedure.
Yay on your first PR. You did it.
Yep. So 15.
You might consider adding some override here in case existing change control is not responsive. Oh, that was just created from Ori. Based on side discussion in number 9, my inclination is to close with no action. We have already have procedures to recover from uncontactable folks, and collecting more information is likely just increase the amount of bad information we have. Can you hover over the thumbs up there to see who gave it? Because I'm hoping it's Ori. No, the little thumbs up icon next to that smiley face. Down, left, there. No, it's not. Okay.
I can fix that though. Ori Steele, I think I opened this issue. I'm fine to close with no action.
And a reminder that the minutes will show what decisions we proposed here, and even though I'm pressing the close button now, we'll review those decisions on the list, which means we'll try to get the list of decisions out, and if anyone has any objections on the list, we'll go back to that. But let's go on.
Okay.
Bucket formats, we talked about that and decided that we should insert a...
Did you leave a comment on number 19 to remind us of that?
Let me see if I did that. Seems to fit under advice on how to define parameters, yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's because I opened it in a different tab. Oh, that, okay, that. Oh, sorry, I'm clicking the wrong. But we should go to 18.
Sure. So I think Magnus is still. Yeah. So this issue is, I think Magnus is asking for a new kind of metadata in the registry, correct? And I think there's some history behind this in that another RFC was published that closed a previous registry. I know nothing about RTP payload formats, by the way. But my understanding is an RFC was published that closed that registry in anticipation of putting it into the media types registry. But that wasn't atomic.
Yeah. No. So that's just at least saying that registry didn't work, etc. So we need to do something. There are indicators, especially even since the current enforce media type registries, to use restriction on usage and the framed type for RTP. So there are indicators in the media type registrations for RTP payload formats since a while. It's not consistent all the way back, etc. And as some usage we had from external bodies, for example, I think it was WGC, Was it, or was it Harald? I'm looking at you. WebRTC had some indication trying to indicate which media types could at all be used or things like that. There's no easy way of actually finding out that from the media types registry, because you actually need to go through all of these media types. And that's why we came to the ask of saying, can we add a metadata indicator in the registry table to indicate that this is an RTP payload format?
So to be very clear, are you asking for something in the registry itself, in the table that is on IANA,
Yes.
or in the registration template?
Something in the table at the IANA.
Okay, I object even more strongly.
Okay.
This is discussed in the issue. The merit of the registry table and of the templates, but especially the table, is that each column is meaningful for potentially every media type. And what you are asking for is a column that only applies to a particular kind of media type for a particular suite of applications. And we have nothing like that now. If we start doing that, the first one is easy. And then as the second and third and 15,000th application comes along, it becomes quickly unmanageable. So I push strongly back against the notion that we should have application-specific columns in the registry table.
I understand that stance. I also, if I had a time machine and could go back in time, back to around 2000, when Harald recommended the media types registry, I would have objected then. But that's 25 years down in history and 150 plus media RTP payload formats, media types. Later, it's like,
So, but this is effectively making a problem that RTP has now the media types registry's problem.
Yeah.
So, what is wrong with capturing this information in a separate registry?
I guess I actually seen something which we originally, if could have been done smarter, is that if you write a new registry and you only use that registry and tell that IANA that every time someone adds in this registry, you also need to add it in the media types registry. You would get IANA to do this automatically. So it might be that we can actually go back to force this back to AVT core to do that and rebuild that table and then write rules for it so it ensures that the media type registry gets added in that table too.
Right.
With one single registration.
Right. I certainly understand the expediency of trying to put this in the media type registry and why that's a first step that you try to do. It's just the systemic effects of it are very concerning to me.
Yeah.
Just so everyone's on the same page, the actual table looks like this.
Right.
The only thing showing is the name and a link to the template and the reference. The registration procedures currently recognize a field called encoding, which contain an option of framed. Share this tab instead.
There you go.
Which means that we can have the information that some type is a frame type in the template. So
the restrictions on usage field, is it still there? Or so it's also, that's the other place where RTP is mentioned on the restrictions on usage.
And those are appropriate places to put this kind of information, certainly.
Yeah, the template is fine, yes.
Sorry. So I think the proposal here is to close with no action. Is that?
I'm fine.
For the record, Magnus is fine with a thumbs up. Sorry, Magnus. Sorry, I couldn't make your life easier. One does wonder if tools could be written to both make that information in the templates easier to consume for things like this, as well as to validate that if, for the things you're interested in, that they're in the proper format.
Yes, so we do have a charter item about considering the format of the registry. Yeah. But that's separate from the registration procedures. Okay, we go back to the issues. That's the wrong sort of order again.
Oh, we can probably make do with that.
That's better sort order.
Okay.
And instructions for other SDOs on how to maintain registrations.
Right.
This is number 20, right?
This is number 20, yes.
So I'm wondering, certainly there needs to be coordination here, and at the W3C, they have their own internal procedures about when they do this, that they have documented. I think if you scroll down, I think Philippe pasted what they do, a link to what they do, I should say. The question is whether something in this document needs to change, or whether this is just a, go talk to the liaisons. I think I agree that this sort of coordination needs to happen. Just what needs to be reflected in the document.
Did Amanda have any input on this? I seem to remember this came from IANA saying like this is a recurring issue for them.
It was a very bad problem for a while for W3C until they figured out how we work, and then they created that document that's linked there,
Oh.
and they just follow that like a recipe, and everything's fine.
I guess maybe the question or a suggestion might be, should we incorporate that or generalize it into our stuff?
No.
Just so other okay.
No, because that is a restatement of our process in W3C speak.
Oh, so it's unnecessary.
Yeah, well,
But it also lists that specific decision points.
right, and in relation to their process. Yeah.
So it's okay. It's too specific.
Yeah.
Can it be generalized at all, or is it worth it?
Well, I think it's going to be dependent upon the specifics of each organization.
Right.
Just
trying to tease out something. Like,
right.
There's a reason this is here. I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah.
So it would be reasonable perhaps to send a liaison statement to other organizations that use this, that they might want to look at the WGC procedures and see if they want to write something similar. But I don't see that as going into the document.
I can see that once we publish an update, one of the follow-on activities would be to do exactly that. Say, hey, look, there's a new version of the registration procedures available, and other organizations have adapted in this particular way, which you might find interesting to think about in the context of your organization.
The ISG maintains a list of previously approved SDOs that can go directly to the standards tree, pardon me, for
Yes.
registrations. Maybe part of the guidance around what gets on that list is, we'll add you to that list when we see you have some sort of equivalent to this, or like, I'm just trying to figure out what we need to encourage here. You don't think so?
That might be. That's kind of creating a process hurdle to recognizing another organization as a standards organization, and I'm a little reluctant to do that.
Yeah, it's touchy because the ISG also, unless they've done something since March, doesn't have good guidance on what constitutes an SDO that
Agreed.
should be added to that list. So.
Well, and another thing that this group might want to consider, maybe not in the context of this document, but right now that list is just for the standards tree, and
right.
when I know it is used for other purposes, especially other registries, but it'd be nice if it didn't say just for the standards tree of media types.
Yeah.
To clarify that.
Yeah. Okay.
But establishing that this group doesn't have a problem if ISG does that might be helpful in that discussion. So close with no action.
I think this is close with no action, but there's an interesting set of follow-on things that could be considered.
Yeah. And we're closed. I just suggest might want to ping Amanda just to make sure that we've covered everything that they had in mind for this. That's all. Amanda from IANA. Yeah, very carefully. It was weird to see nothing from
Okay, still larger.
Put in there also.
Ask Ayana what?
Do they have any input on this? If they have none, then
I'd say it's things to consider after publication, maybe, or something like that. Well, so does that imply we need to keep the issue open? We were so close to closing an issue, Pete.
I think we can take it off the blocking lists.
We can put in some sort of comment into the document in IANA considerations describing the issue. And
then it goes away when it gets published.
And then it goes away when it gets published.
Nice. Okay.
And then we can close the issue after we put in said note.
Oh, see, this is why he gets the big bucks. Well, we have this thing called ASCII.
Yes.
Will put a note.
Will put it.
Well, he can could all he want. We know what's going to happen.
Magic. Okay,
No,
comment
close.
made,
Yeah.
and we'll take off the
Yeah.
the blocking last call label because there's no text change. So we remove the blocker. We should be happy about that. Let me see. More detailed change procedures. 21.
Sure. Is there something beyond my comment down there?
Yeah, there's a.
Well, that was an aside, effectively.
Yeah.
Right. And you felt, well, I still think we have an somewhat underdocumented procedure. Right.
I suggested some text here.
Right.
And
oh, this is that
the
conversation, right?
Yeah. So
scroll up to my suggestion just above this.
I think that one is.
Yeah.
Yes, the largest type I can, largest text I can make it and fits on one screen.
So when a change to a media type registration is requested, the designated expert will assure that the change controller approves the change. If the designated expert finds that the change control is unresponsive or uncontactable for a reasonable period of time, no less than 4 weeks, and reasonable efforts have been made to contact them, they may recommend to the IASG that this change controller be updated. The IASG makes the final decision regarding updates to change controllers. And I chose 4 weeks because that is the usual period of a holiday in the civilized part of the world.
John, thanks. I mean, the one tweak I'd make here is if they know the designated expert has died, I don't think waiting 4 weeks is necessary.
Fair call. Although, modern medicine. How do we accept that circumstance? Fair call.
I'm going to suggest that dead is you've contacted them. They're just not like, you know, they're dead. So it fits in with unresponsive or like.
Yeah,
Like you've
so-
gotten a response. The response is they're dead.
How do I reflect that in the text?
Well, you could go with a the with a definition of unresponsive that includes non-existent. I mean, my fear is that is the case where we have SE29 listed as the change controller, and SE29 is now working group 16 or whatever, so that the designation doesn't designate the designation is for something that doesn't exist.
I think perhaps what we could, I think we could remove the parenthetical phrase and just rely on reasonable. We see thumbs up in the room. Generally speaking. Because worst case can always be appealed, and then the ISG has a great discussion of what reasonable is. That's something you want to give to engineers.
Yeah. So, adopt mark texts. I'm leaving. I'm making that. Let me see. Do we have a? Did we ready for PR? We have that,
Fantastic. Yay, us.
and then we can take away the blocking last call thing. Green and happy. Community format change controller 23.
Oh yeah, this one. So yeah, I noticed reading through that for other parts, other methods, that the owner was always identified, you know, by the process for that was nominated. Whereas for the community formats, we didn't specify that information. And so, you know, we have a suggestion here to make it the ISG. I think in other parts of the discussion, people talked about making it whatever the appropriate community was. Is there another proposal in the issue? Right?
What's a community format?
So in the standards tree,
Mhm.
it used to be, before this draft, that you had to go through the ISG. And there were a couple of ways. My memory's failing.
You can do an IETF stream document. You can
Thank you.
You can go some other way with a published document. The ISG will approve one time, kind of the blah blah blah.
Or another STO. Thank you.
Right. And that's
Right.
it. Okay.
And so we then came up with this thing, the community formats process, where it's like when the designated expert finds that, you know, something is widely deployed and it's based upon an interoperable format that's not just one proprietary vendor, like an open source project, or, you know, something that demonstrates interoperability and wide deployment, and a laundry list of, there we are, thank you. There's a laundry list of other criteria, then it can be registered in the standards tree.
Oh, and this is something new I hadn't seen. Thank you.
We've talked about it extensively.
I apologize. I haven't read that section in a while.
It was in a separate draft that we adopted.
Right. Okay.
So this is basically, you know, ungatekeeping this from just SDOs to if something has broad adoption, that, you know, and of course this is a does it feel right kind of test, and we tried to articulate what feels right.
And this would skip the SDO registration question that normally goes to the ISG?
Yes. It's on a case by case basis rather than a community by community basis.
Okay, thanks.
So, and it's good we have this text here, because then, yeah, the question is, the result of this whole process is the owner of that media type registration that's listed the ISG, or is it whoever we can designate for that community, keeping in mind that in some cases there is no obvious community, and we don't know in any case potentially how that community is governed or how it might change in the future. It seems to me, just reasoning from first principles and standing here thinking about it, that because the designated expert is using their judgment to determine whether this is registered, that the locus of that authority needs to stay somewhat nearby. And the logical place for that is the IASG, because the IASG ultimately is the authority that enables the designated expert.
Yeah, I'm still in the queue, so I tend to agree.
So I was looking at one of the obvious ones for application zip, which has a designated registrant of Paul Lidner. I have no idea if from 1993. I have no idea whether he's contactable or not.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, what I was driving at was really that if there are cases where there is an obvious contact, it will be better to just list that. So I would leave that to the discussion of the DE if we can get to it.
But
or the registrant.
I still think that there's an issue there that, you know,
yes,
the accountability of those parties can vary wildly. And I fear that we're going to get tie ourselves into knots trying to create mechanisms to identify who the appropriate community for a given format is, when that's going to be a very case-by-case thing. And it's going to put a lot of pressure on the DE to do the right thing. Whereas just specifying ISG keeps it simple. Also, by the way, we had the discussion previously about the Murray, the grandfathering text, which we're going to find a new name for. This is what that was referring to. That's what I'm advocating for. Yeah.
I kind of feel that in some cases there will be an obvious registrant.
Of course.
And so forbidding that seems like the wrong thing to do.
The other thing that makes me think, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not the first. Go ahead. Who's that? Roll.
I think you have a remote participant on the queue. Harold?
Rahul, you're up.
I think you have a remote.
Okay, so sorry, 2 minute tabs. Rahul.
Yeah, so are we going to go through some kind of procedure to look at like RFC 2046 registrations after this document gets published in this group, or are we just going to leave that to the DEs?
What?
My conception was that would always be done by the DEs.
What?
You're talking to someone who can't hear you.
Alexei, I started extracting text from 2046 for the primary media types, but there is no draft yet.
Just one more thing in favor of doing it the IASG way. If you were supposed and we were to select someone from the community to be the contact, those communities will evolve unpredictably. And so
that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We have that for everything that has a name on it, which is most.
Right, but this is in the standards tree.
Yep. So I'll record that as rough consensus seems to be to designate the ISG in all cases. I'm the rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would be in favor of DE discretion.
With the default of the ISG, like if the DE doesn't explicitly say.
So
Yeah,
by
I'd say,
default,
yeah, D, just to repeat what I said off mic, D is discretion, but IESG is fallback if there's nothing obvious.
or something like normally the ISG, but at the DE's discretion, maybe
I would say,
appropriate contact.
I wouldn't even say normally. I mean, if we want to allow cases where there is an obvious change controller to give it to them, we don't want
Sure.
to have that to be something.
Do we need guidelines about what the nature of an appropriate change controller is?
Somebody who is, you know, a person or organization who is actually the author of the format.
So in this goes back to the kind of, you know, what is an SDO question, and there's a lot of nuance in that. And you know, as a DE and other registries, I have to make a judgment call about things like, is that a stable reference? Well, what does it feel like? And as a DE, that's an uncomfortable thing to do. So this is why I'm kind of steering towards just make it easy for the DE, I guess, because every time they make a judgment call like this, they have to be thinking, okay, somebody's going to contest this, and am I doing the right thing? And what did I do 5 times ago that I'm not doing now that somebody's going to call unfair? And yeah.
What is a future DE going to do differently?
Exactly. Or if there's more than one DE, are they acting consistently? Well, now we need DE meetings, and yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm pushing back on this a little bit. So where is the consensus here?
I think
The ADs lose the skills so fast.
so. I propose allow DE to decide with the default being ISG, and also for the case when DE cannot decide.
Pete is on the.
Okay.
Okay,
As
so,
a designated expert on other registries making similar kinds of calls, it's very uncomfortable without extensive guidance. So if people are volunteering to write that extensive guidance, that's great.
Maybe we should think a bit more about this. So I think the cases I'm thinking about at the moment is media types originated from Microsoft. Which got wide implementation. They are in the standards 3, but we actually couldn't find anybody in Microsoft to even verify it.
Right. Personally.
So yeah.
If I also think we need to think about what incentive structures are we setting up here. If Microsoft wants to have things in the standards tree.
No offense, I don't think they care in this case.
I know. But now you're not only giving them the name, you're also giving them control over it for no work whatsoever.
Right. I think we need to not close this just yet.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that's the other is, you know, thinking about the incentives for squatting. You know, if you squat and retain change control, that's even more of an incentive.
So decision needs further discussion.
So I put my name in the queue just for Administrivia, since I know the chair has multiple screens open right now and hasn't been watching the chat. For remote people, if you're going to jump up and just reply, at least state your name at the mic. And if the chair can increase font size a little, that would be useful. That would be useful for people in the room too, for some of us who have glasses and things.
And especially those who are sitting very far back, right?
But please try and use the queue if you can. That puts the name on everybody's remote screen. If for some reason that's not feasible, at least say your name at the mic.
Yes, I do have a problem with too many screens. Okay, next issue. Uh, 24. Coordination with previous registrar of plus suffix types.
I think there's a proposal for text near the bottom.
Yep. There's actually a pull request on this one.
Oh, I think somebody turned my thing into a pull request, maybe.
Brian Campbell. Let me see if I can find the pull requests. Yep, here it is. It's getting a large font and displaying as significant.
That's a little too large.
This is a suggested change. Is expected to be coordinated with the change controller for any already registered media type with the same type and subtype name, and subtype names without the suffix, in particular regarding semantics and data model. That's
that looks about like the text.
That's very non-coercive.
I haven't.
20, no. This is pull request 41.
Right.
PR 41.
Brent Sundell. I don't know why I raised this PR other than I was sitting there and I had a little bit of time and tried to be helpful. So I think the PR captures language from the conversation in the issue, including Mark's suggestion. The remaining question that is being having conversation about is whether, in addition to the base media type, the structured suffix change controller should be, something that should they reach out and coordinate with them as well. And there were a couple folks on the list, myself included, who were like, I don't know, maybe not, maybe that's not a great idea, but I'm happy to change the PR to be whatever this group feels like should be the way it should be, if that's helpful.
My instinct there is that requiring some action of the DE is probably overkill. I would expect that a DE would, if they had questions about whether the structured suffix is appropriate, would go and have a chat if necessary. I mean, in many cases, hopefully the structured suffix is well documented enough that it's obvious.
I was the one that suggested the coordination with I'm sorry, Brian Campbell. I thought it went through because I queued. I'm trying to do the right thing. Oh, I can appreciate that. I suggested the potential coordination with the change controller owner power that be regarding the owner of the structured suffix, but I actually did it. I don't know, maybe I was too subtle. I'm not usually subtle, so I was surprised by that. But it was an attempt at sort of reductio ad absurdum of this entire thing. Either the DEs can figure it out themselves, or they can go talk to whoever it is. And either we need to tell them they should or tell them they must, although that's also reductio ad absurdum. We shouldn't have must recon in there, but right. I don't see any difference between the two other than numbers. There might be more of one or the other, but
So sorry, you don't see any difference between the left and the right?
Yeah, like I feel like a DE is equally qualified to understand or not understand the applicability of the suffix or the left, the right or the left.
So are you talking? Oh, you're talking about in the syntax, not on the screen. Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes, because there's more discussion in the thread that I thought we were talking about that I can't express myself. I kind of don't think any of this text should be in here. I said that like 3 or 4 IETFs ago or 4 IETFs ago, and then it was written in the other document, and then we had that conversation, and I thought people agreed with me, and then the content got merged directly over, and then I asked about that, and I was told that that was what we were told to do. I'm rambling, I'm sorry, but it's like I've tried on numerous times to provide feedback in this area. It feels like it's been just washed aside or ignored, and that is very, very frustrating. And so I'm trying not to let that frustration show. I apologize. Yeah. But the whole issue seems sort of, could we at least be consistent about it? And I think one way to be consistent about it is just make it go away. But in the absence of that, let's.
I will notice that we actually. Alexei, use the mic. But I noticed we have. I didn't expect this, but we actually have only 15 minutes left of the meeting.
Okay, I'm completely lost on what we are talking about. Are we talking about application/foo plus XML is registered and somebody wants to do plus JSON? Are we talking about, or is it just in general that registration in a suffix should comply with requirements of the suffix, right?
Both. Yeah.
Okay, because I think the first one we decided we don't want that anymore. That's my recollection, or at least we couldn't agree that we wanted.
Couldn't agree that we wanted is probably the right thing.
I apologize. Maybe I'm confusing things. I feel like we haven't agreed on anything we wanted, but we have text in the document with very strong normative wording.
Sure.
You have, or we've agreed to sort of back down on the strength of the text, which I absolutely think is a good idea. Mm-hmm. But I would like to see it further diluted and or at least applied equitably to all things.
So just to give the history here, we agreed to adopt the structured suffix document. And so editorially, we incorporated it into the BIS document verbatim as much as physically possible. And so that's what you see on the left is that the process. But then we had the issue, and we're talking about how to, and from an editorial perspective, for me, I fully agree that having the musts in there and tying the hands of the DE is completely inappropriate. It goes back to the previous discussion we had is what tools can we give the DE to help guide their decisions in a non-hand-tying way, but also give them something they can rely on. When I say, as a DE, when I say no, if it's just Mark's opinion, that's really hard. So if we can give them tools that they can use, say, well, I refused you because look at this part of the RFC, that's useful.
100% follow all of that. I believed I was in the room in the middle of that where we said we weren't going to incorporate it verbatim because we had what felt like a conversation about not doing that and making some of those more reasonable adjustments in the meantime. So I was a bit surprised at the verbatim move because I at least thought I had a different outcome from that meeting.
Okay, so I think there was some miscommunication there because that was
certainly possible.
Yeah.
So as chair, I did say that we should incorporate the current text verbatim and submit an issue for the change. So you can blame me for that text being verbatim incorporated.
As one of the DEs we're talking about, I like that structured suffixes have experts that I can consult if I think I need help answering this question. If I think I understand JSON well enough, then I'm not going to talk to anybody about it. But if I don't know how JSON works, then having someone to go to is perfect.
Right. And by the way, this is just an evolution from the current text. I'm more than happy to change this so it's not stated in terms of expectations on the DEs, but instead just registrations are expected to have these properties, blah, blah, blah. Sure.
Brent Sundell, happy to adjust the PR so it matches what Mark just said.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm saying that I'm concluding that on this issue, which I can't find back, get back to the issue. We have a decision that do not tie the hands, make language talk about what needs to be in the registration. Is that is that an
Yep.
adequate capture?
That's enough.
Okay, I'll make that a comment. Let me see if I can get back to the issues list.
Is that still blocking, or do we want to see text before we take the blocking thing off?
I think we need to see the text before the block.
Okay.
Taking the blocking thing off. I mean, we can't go to working group last call before we have merged
Sure.
the fix for this one.
Sure.
Let me see. Early allocation, 38.
Keep it together.
Let's see. I will.
Should we have an early allocation procedure?
We have an early allocation procedure.
And I think, yeah, that's where we're at. So yeah, I think we just need to get a pointer to 7120 in there.
We're working on a 7120 BIS. I don't know if we want to just push all that up to them, or is there a specific, are there specific things for media types that we want to do slightly differently? I haven't seen the document yet.
I think this is literally just put a reference in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hear that taking the, I have to go and take the red close label off.
Yep.
And put the ready for PR in, and make a note saying that this needs a pointer to send 120.
He learns.
I cannot both take notes of this, and because I'm going to open. So just to clarify, we still have provisional registrations, but we also have early allocations. So you can do early allocations in standards 3 or provisional. So they're kind of complementary
Right.
process.
And we
Okay,
need to-
just checking that we have both, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, this registry has provisional registrations, right? Okay. I forget which ones do it. It's okay. Yeah, there'll be a little nuance on that to make sure it's referenced in the right place to avoid that confusion.
So I think we've done all the blocking ones.
Sorry.
Okay, so sorry. And
I did-
Rahul again.
At the end of
And thanks, Brian.
at the end of the last comment I had made was, what about other SDOs? What are how is their early allocation procedure defined, or do they have to provide some documentation like the other case where an early allocation, they have something saying that this is how we'll ask for early allocation?
John, I was going to comment. I mean, I think again, this is probably something where media types aren't special. So I think we should put something to 71 people doing 7120 BIS to say how these procedures work for other SDOs.
Sure.
Oh, sort of everybody. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah. That makes sense. Rather than inventing it ourselves and then having it overcome by whatever they do. So that's another issue to raise with IANABIS. They're going to be so happy with us.
Okay.
I mentioned that we should raise it with IANABIS. Yeah. Rahul?
Yeah, that's all right.
That's all? Okay.
I mean, it should say in the text that IANABIS, it's being referred to IANABIS in the comment that Harold just made.
Huh. The automatic translation translates IANABIS as abyss. Huh.
It's also referred to as Lonabas and Dianabas. So it's not complete.
Yeah. Right
Okay.
there.
So we got
Our own abyss. Yeah. Our own abyss.
We got 3 minutes left, and so I'm going to say that the rest of the issues are for discussion on the list. And thank you, Mark. I hope that most of them are relatively trivial. I mean, I tried to put knit in front of the ones that I think are knits, but there are. Yeah.
At the mic.
Yes, it's me. I've noticed that during recent edits, possibility for ISG approval of standards 3 registration from other streams is not mentioned anymore.
I don't think that was intentional. Can you raise an issue?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I know it's kind of specialized case, but I think sometimes, kind of other SGOs creating something of more general use, they come to independent stream.
Sure.
And then there is an extra step of ISG approval. So that's kind of special case. I wanted to point out that it's, yeah.
I have no recollection of intentionally removing that, so please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So from an editorial standpoint, we'll go through the knit issues and incorporate these things, probably do another editorial pass over the document. And then I would suggest if we get to working group last call, keeping it fairly long because there are a lot of substantial changes here. And I think people need to go over it line by line.
Yeah. And I encourage very much reading the document and filing the issues if you find things, because if nobody notices, it won't get fixed.
Yeah, and there was an issue. We changed a lot of 2119 terms that I won't put this on Pete. In my judgment, were not appropriate use of those terms down to prose. So if they cause you heartburn, please bring it up. It's somewhat an editorial style thing, but because it's normative language, it's something we need to consider.
Yeah, I remember having heartburn at the time, but didn't come down to the concrete suggestion. My fault.
I'd like to coordinate, make sure that all the stuff that we said refer to IANABIS actually happens. So I'll try to get that list from you or both of you, and make sure that it's because IANABIS might do an interim.
Right. Harold, will you coordinate with our own abyss?
I will take the action. Okay. So we still have a hope of getting to a working group last call before the next IETF meeting. I suspect that we will not have sent the document to the ISG before the next IETF meeting. So we expect to meet again in a few months' time. And with that, time's up. Thank you all for coming.
Sorry to hassle you about the name of the mic thing. My tablet doesn't refresh names, and so I'm like, are they in the queue? Are they not in the queue? Like, I can't see. Like, yeah, we're all looking at